morning. This week I've been thinking a lot about the ways that I listen to myself and am trying to follow what I'm thinking and not what other people are thinking. So today I'm going to talk about how I started listening to myself instead of everything else around me. For me personally, I had a really hard or have a really hard time distinguishing what I want from what society expects of me, from what my mentors expect from me, etc., and what I expect from myself. So all of that kind of gets mixed up, and then I just got so sick and tired, and I was like, let me just try to be myself. Oh, that was pretty. Oh, I can't wait to see what that looked like. It just rained, so it's so pretty to see like the after rain with the sun. I think it's like my favorite thing. I think one of the biggest questions that I had when I started listening more to my gut instinct was being like, do I have a gut instinct and is it good? Because I feel like I was getting to a point where I had been using logic to make my decisions so much that I like didn't know if my gut instinct was still there. I think a big thing that I've learned so far, for me at least, is that it's not that your intuition is right or wrong. It's that your intuition is kind of your compass leading you towards what you need to learn along the way. And that's what I think has helped me stop thinking, oh, like, oh shoot, I trusted my instincts on this one and I ended up in a bad place, therefore I'm not trusting it anymore. I think that's sort of the thinking I was thinking at the beginning, but now it's more like, why did my instincts lead me this way and what can I learn from it? Because I feel like just like anything else, listening to yourself is a practice. So that's what I tell myself anyway. So that helps me stop thinking that my instincts are right or wrong and just start listening to them and seeing what I'm trying to tell myself, I guess. It's like your feelings, right? Like I feel like this is the right thing to do. I like didn't know, like my feelings were telling me almost nothing, and I think that's because I didn't know how to recognize the signs of like, this is disturbing, this vibe is very off, versus like this is the right way to go. Um, so definitely feeling that's a part of it. And I think it's you start tapping into that aspect of yourself when you start taking time alone to understand yourself and think about your feelings and feel your feelings. Yeah, maybe feel your feelings, not think about them. I'm gonna get ready and go and get something to eat. Got the Tropicana fresh got it ready, honey, it don't matter shots. Feel like trap, gonna be 24/7, golden hour like a boss. And they say, yo, guess you got a 2 o'clock appointment for a champagne shot, bro, yeah. I'm busy trying to take it higher, got no time for never, only spending cheddar, wish I could do this forever. I'm so excited. I got okonomiyaki. It looks like this. My dilemma, there is a job opportunity for me, and my gut instinct at first, like I applied for the job and I kind of just I didn't care. I didn't really think about it. Then I thought about it again, like months later, and I was like, go for it. Like, it wasn't that logical, but it was just a really strong instinct to do it. So I did. I went for it. But recently, something came up in me that was like, I just don't feel like it's the right thing anymore. I don't know if that inside feeling of now that doubt is just doubt or if it's like a gut instinct to not do it. I'm definitely overthinking it because following your intuition is all about a feeling. But it's kind of this case of what happens when you don't want to listen to your gut. And I like don't want to listen to it. But again, I don't know how to distinguish that feeling from just like a fear because you know, like when something doesn't feel good, but you know it's going to be good for you and you still do it anyways. I think that's good. I think that this is such a process of like trusting the way I actually feel and being able to listen to myself. And I think I just have to really honor that, which is something that I find super challenging because I don't really trust myself. Like it's always easier to blame someone else for your problems. So yeah, that's the dilemma I'm having right now. It's like, am I listening to my feelings because they make me feel comfortable and safe, or am I listening to my feelings because it's the quote unquote right thing to do? Whoa, that's really dangerous. Is balancing right on top of the steering wheel. I think listening to my intuition has changed the way that I make decisions because instead of making like a big pros and cons list or asking a bunch of people what they think I should do, I go back to myself and really retreat into my own kind of bubble and then start being like, okay, what do I feel like is the right thing to do? And I found a lot more. I found that I've learned so much about myself in that process, whereas when I ask other people what they think I should do, I kind of get thrown in a bunch of directions on a bunch of other people's agendas, and I'm sure you guys don't want that either. All right, last bite. And then we are off to Costco. This is like legitimately the most adult I've ever felt. I don't know why I said I could go to Costco by myself. I literally don't know where anything is. Okay, so now finally, like the practical tips. So some I've already kind of talked about because like they just came up in conversation. So like the thing that's like start feeling your feelings instead of thinking them and trying to like over process them because when you feel it, then that's kind of the answer and that's really what's quote unquote listening to yourself. Something that I started practicing, trying to figure out how I feel about things and really be able to make my own decisions, is to start with small decisions. Things like, oh, what do I feel like actually eating today? What do I feel like doing today? What do I feel like wearing today? Like, those are all things that are based on vibes that really gave me like step by step confidence to build up to seeing like, oh, what it feels like when I did listen to myself or what it feels like if I don't listen to myself. The second thing that really helped me was being able to listen to my body and start reconnecting with my senses a little bit more. I started doing that through meditation, like the kind of meditation that's like focus on each part of your body moving up and then they're like, how does it feel? Like tense up and let it go. Because after I started doing those exercises, I could really recognize in my day-to-day life when I would do that. Like before, I think I was just like, I was tense all the time, which I knew was pretty bad. but I didn't know how to fix that. Like usually for me, it's like my knee or my stomach, my throat or my chest will feel tense when something's like off or wrong. And now I kind of know what that feels like, whereas before I was like, what, like, what does that mean? Why is that different from like my everyday? I think there's a certain amount of letting go that also needs to happen in this process, because if you're allowing space and time for feelings to really like show and like come to you, then you would have to let go of the things that are like blocking that from happening. I think it's probably different for every person. For me, it was a lot of like, if I get rid of some of my anxious thoughts and anxious feelings, I make room for like my own kind of feelings. Not that anxious feelings are not feelings, but there's room for other signals besides anxiety. Birthday cake pop.
Look at that glory, deliciousness.
10 out of 10.
Will that be all for you? Yes.
Cheers. Cheers. I think you should always trust your gut. I think I have a pretty strong intuition. And I used to second guess myself like on the daily, but then I would always get it wrong and then I'd be like upset. Like on my tests and stuff.
And you know how they would say, like, if you don't know exactly what the answer is, put the one you thought was the answer 1st. I'd do that and I'd always get it wrong.
Really?
Yeah. And it would always be the other one that I thought.
I grew up thinking like, oh, whichever one I think is right first is wrong. So I would always do this answer I thought was like, oh, in between like my gut and my brain. And that one would always be wrong for me.
Yeah, that's true.
I think just like as a person, you know what's right for you and what's not. And like if you know yourself well enough, you can trust your gut because you're like, wow, okay, like that's real. I'm telling myself that. I know that for myself. I know that about myself. I'll listen to it. But like when I was younger, I was like, I don't know. So that's why like on my tests and stuff, I would always second guess things. But now I just like trust myself.
That's so wise of you. Thank you guys for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great day.
Peace.
Thanks, Cam.